Motionmetrix is the system I use for about 7 years. It's depth sensing cameras, so there's no marking. You just calibrate the runner in front of you. It takes 5 minutes, just stand there, and then they walk, and the depth sensing camera just captures their body, and it works everything else out for you. It's a really nice system, and because it's 3D, then it comes up with all sorts of data. And I just want to give you a little look of how that comes up, and I'll do that just by sharing a case study with you called Joe, because it's a nice example of how you can use the 3D Motionmetrix. So I am conscious, though, if any of you do need to go, it is 12:03. So what I might do is I will put this recording out. From this point on, I will share the recording in case any of you do have to go, and I'll put it into the Facebook group. So it'll only be kind of 10 minutes. So if anyone is rushing out anywhere, then feel free to jump off, and I will give you this. But anyway, so here we go. Just to show you what Motionmetrix does. So Joe came to me, 35-year-old male, training for the first marathon. He's getting strain around and above knees, especially on the left. He did a half marathon last year without training, and he got 2 hours, 13 minutes. Excellent. First half marathon. Very pleased with that. And now he's thinking, I want to do a marathon, and I want to do it in 4 hours. He was in the army for 8 years. Strong lad. You can see on the treadmill, I've taken his head out. But yeah, real strong lad. In fact, it doesn't do him justice. He was quite a tank. Let me just move you guys down there a little bit. Footwear, I'll always make a note of it. Using Nike Pegasus 34, which just with a quick check, because I never know what all these do. At the time, it was cushion, neutral, 10mm drop. I think he just had them because he just bought them, or they were on sale or something. Or sometimes he uses an Adidas Boost, which was the same drop, just a little bit heavier. In the subjective, where I wanted a bit more information from him, so that's something really important. We're not just going to put him on a treadmill. I wanted some more information. So I asked him questions like, why do you think you're getting this strain? Massively important question. Ask the client what they think is going on, and we address those beliefs, which is so important for the yellow flags. He says, I'm not sure. I used to get ankle sprains, but not for the last 2 years. So history of previous injury, but it was in the army, and the sort of things that he was having to do training-wise there, I wasn't too interested in the fact that he used to get ankle sprains, but I kept it in mind. I asked him why were you getting ankle sprains? And then he opened up and said, well, I was into barefoot running for a while and forefoot striking, but the issue stopped when he stopped doing that. So that was fine. He had a history of doing that, but he's not doing it anymore. And then I said, why are you trying to do a marathon in 4 hours? What made you pick 4 hours? And he just said, well, I just did the half in about 2:16. I thought, double that or something, take a bit off, whatever it is. So I thought that was interesting as well, because people often don't know what targets they should set for a race. And that's where we can come in and actually sell them. You know what, if you run a marathon in 2 hours 15, in actual fact, with 16 weeks of training, the algorithms, which are pretty accurate, will throw up a time for you and a pace, which you can pretty much guarantee is what you're going to do. And we should be training for it. Any other exercise, obviously, is another important question. There were more questions than this. This gives you an example of the sort of thing I'll ask in subjective. He goes to the gym twice a week, lifts weights. I said, yeah, I can see that. Whether you use them, if you don't use them already, then get used to these. I mean, you've got some great web pages, which literally you're just chucking a 2 hour 13. And it tells you what their marathon or other races will be based on that. So when you put 2:13 for somebody, they're based on like a 16-week program. He should be able to run a marathon in 5:23. That's the average person based on a performance. If he actually wanted to do a 4 hour marathon, then he would have to complete a half marathon in 1 hour 45. So one of the things I would encourage him to do for that training is as part of your training, see whether you can get a half marathon done in 1:45. You did the last one with no training, which was great. But let's use that as like a goal to see whether 4 hours is a realistic time for you to do your marathon. And all of this is available online and easy to look at. Because I was kind of like, you are built strong, and I reckon you could do this. I mean, but let's see why you're getting that anterior knee pain. Because he came to me because it was getting to the stage where he was a bit worried about it. Put him on the treadmill. he's interested in doing a 4-hour marathon. Again, I have these conversion charts up in clinic, but a 4-hour marathon or 4:13 marathon is the equivalent of 10 kilometers per hour. So I want to see him running at 10 kph. That's what he's going to be doing the bulk of his training at for the marathon. So there's no point me putting him on a treadmill and seeing him run at 13 kph because it's not going to be the speed he's running at. So I did that. Okay, this is like a massive data thing now, which if you haven't seen it before, it's quite impressive and really impressive for the client. So within seconds, okay, they run for 30 seconds and it chucks out this and so much more. In fact, half of it I don't even use because it's too complicated for me. But you can see here, it will, don't worry too much about the gravity body segments. That's all to do with the 3D data and stuff. But they come up with a percentage to show elastic exchange. That links in wonderfully with the return he's getting from his tendons and everything. It shows here he was on 9.6, which is actually poor. Okay, so straight away the system, which has put everything together, is suggesting that he's not running in a way which is providing him with that elastic return. And as a result, his economy wasn't too bad in terms of how much his energy he's wasting. He was on a C. But these two figures are really nice, especially when you do gait retraining and then it throws up that their economy goes up or their elastic change increases. Okay, sometimes it doesn't, and it's a weird one. You just have to make something up. But when it does work, it's brilliant. It's a real nice visual buy-in for the client and helps you as a clinician. The sort of parameters it puts, it tells you what foot strike they've got, which could be interesting for you or not, pelvic position, cadence they're running at, contact time, the lean in their body. It measures the distance straight away for overstride, vertical displacement along the bottom, braking force, vertical force, lateral force, everything you could possibly need within 30 seconds of them running at any speed you want. For me personally, when I looked at him running at this 10 kph, I noticed the elastic exchange. I thought that's a bit low for this strong lad. I noticed that his cadence was in theory a little bit high here. So maybe just he was at 172, which is quite fast for a pace of 10 kilometers per hour. His contact time was high. Okay, too much time on the floor. He was quite upright. Okay, again, maybe because of his army with a backpack on. You can see as he's running here, his chest's all puffed out. It's just the way he's built and put together. Tiny bit of an overstride. Vertical displacement, okay, pretty low. Okay, so not generating much power basically to push him up at all. And you could see that as well in the vertical force. The amount of force he was putting into that ground and driving back was very low. So basically, I've got a big, strong lad here who looks like he could lift up a house, but when it comes to running, he's not using any of that energy. Okay, he's not using it in the right way anyway. So what I did with him is I gave him a simple drill. Let me just go through those. I gave him a simple drill of just drive back drills. We did some cues, which was involving him pushing the treadmill by himself. Not pushing it literally, but I mean just putting his leg there and driving that belt back without switching it on, just to get used to that use and recruit of the posterior hamstrings and glutes to drive something back. We also did some exercises, some standing on one leg drills, again, to get used to that mechanism of driving that leg behind him, some cycling drills, I call them. And then we put him back on the treadmill. And the wonderful thing about Motionmetrix, for example, is you can overlay the new data onto the old data. So what you can see on the screen here is the light blue is what he did originally, and the dark blue is what was measured after the intervention, which in this case was just a drive back drill after some drills off the treadmill earlier on. So straight away, this was a lovely result. Elastic exchange, which I talked to him a little bit about, shot up to 37. So now suddenly he is over excellent. He's got a smile as wide as from here to London. Okay, so that was a real nice visual for him. Also, his economy as a result shot up to A+. He was over the moon. Okay, and I just felt, I was just sitting there thinking, yeah, check me out. I've just given you something so cool here. So it was nice for me as well. We looked at the other, I didn't give him any cues apart from driving back. He automatically moved to slight more of a forefoot. which was his global system of achieving that drive back. So that was an interesting one as well. Whether that was connected to army and the sort of footwear he was wearing before and the sort of runs he had to do, I don't know, but it looked like he was more naturally somebody who was going to land with a forefoot. His cadence stayed pretty much the same. Okay, so I just gave him this drill. It didn't mean he started speeding up or anything or slowing down his frequency. His contact time shot down, okay, because he is driving back and basically flying more through the air, which is getting from A to B quicker, which is lovely. His forward lean came up a little bit to more what we would expect. He wasn't quite so upright. He was leaning forwards more, which was cool. I mean, you can see the difference between the left and the right of him here. You can see he's leaning forwards a little bit more. You can see he's got more flight time. What else? Sorry, the overstride came right down, which is why his elastic energy and economy came up so much, because he was no longer braking each time. Vertical displacement came up, still not as high as we would imagine, but considering all the other factors, it's moving in the right direction. Braking force came down. Vertical force transmitted into the ground increased, which is what I was after. Moved towards this green patch is just the recommended, which again is a dodgy area. I just want to see him improve. I'm not quite so interested about getting into that green patch. That's just the sample they use. I just want to see it moves in the direction I'm trying to get it. So all in all, it was a real good result from a simple drill. And it was just interesting, this case study, because he was a big, fit, strong lad. And it was purely, in this particular case, and also the anterior knee pain. He felt much more comfortable and felt much more confident with his knees doing it this way. And that made sense, because he was just spending less contact time on the ground. We reduced his overstride. All the things we know are linked in. The vertical displacement increased. So his knees were happy for it as well. So there we go. So in conclusion, the original one was light blue. The dark blue is the effect of giving him some drive back drills to increase that hip extension, to use what he's got to a better way. And that led to those summaries: elastic exchange, economy up, contact time reduced, overstride reduced. And what I didn't put down there was also far more confident and less symptoms around his knees when he was running. And that was followed up with follow-ups. And actually, he did go on to get a 4 hour, 6 minute or something marathon, and didn't have any more problems with his knees. It was just he jumped into running very quickly. He was using a form which just wasn't efficient, and we changed that relatively quickly. We changed his exercises at the gyms a little bit to work more and engage the posterior part. He was very much into squats and extensions, knee extensions and stuff. We got him focusing a bit more onto hamstrings in particular and calves, because that's what you use in running. It's very posterior driven. The front absorbs, and when you're landing, the quads are very responsible for controlling that eccentric absorption of the energy. But in terms of propulsion, obviously, it's all about posterior compartment. So the advice I gave him was based on that. I gave him some homework. Just he'd understood this difference, that he was strong and big, but he just needed to redirect his power. It was very much, it was again, working with the person in front of you, very proud army lad, very confident, good looking chap. So I was very quick to make sure that I just recognized and kept him confident, going, you're a strong, big lad. Obviously, we just need to tweak how you're using that a little bit, you know. Gave him some exercises. That's the kind of cycling drill that I talk about and do quite a lot with runners, where you're driving the foot down and then behind you. Sometimes you put like a wall or something for them to get some contact with. And I'll do it with the arms. This is something we'll play around with on the practical day, because I like these exercises to be as context-based as possible. You're not running, but let's use that contralateral movement with the arms and the legs, because we're training the brain to therefore work in a way which is as similar to running as possible. I think I use that quite a lot. I think I got most of that from Christopher Johnson way back when he did all his slow motion videos, using his arms for everything. It was always synchronized. And I've continued doing that. I think that works well. Anytime I get a runner doing exercises, I try and make it as realistic as possible to get the brain on board and used to that context. I call it a leg cycle drill. We'll do some of that when we get together. And then, like I say, hamstring focus, single leg deadlifts, some drive back run intervals. That's something we might do with music at James's as well. When you're running and keeping in time with a song which suits your cadence, you can count either on the left foot, so you're going bam, bam, counting the left, and then now count it on the right. And this is a nice way of training legs which might be lagging behind, because one side you'll just be keeping up happy as Larry with left, boom, left, boom, left, boom. When you go to right, it feels like a right. Oh, I've got to get the right there quicker again. And it's just a nice way of improving that drive on a leg which might be a bit weaker. And then doing them both together, and suddenly you feel like you're lurching forwards because you're getting that extra hip extension. We'll have some great fun with music at James, because he says he's quite happy for me to play Guns N' Roses, which was good. Okay, and some calf strengthening as well. Face down opening with the band was to get his glute med as well, a little bit stronger and just more in contact, not stronger, but just more in contact with it as well. Okay, so that, let me just stop sharing for a sec. That wasn't bad, actually. I'm sorry, we are 12:19. That wasn't too bad. That's given you a little look at Motionmetrix. Again, it's up there with Run3D in terms of expense, but I am obviously biased because I used it. I just like the fact you didn't have to mark people up, and I just love the visuals. That just turned me on, and I was so proud when a runner came in paying me 350, 400 quid to go, there you go, that's why you're paying it, mate, check that out. It was a really important factor for my particular target audience. But also I found the visuals were useful and evidence informed, so it wasn't just all lights, all lights and nothing to deliver with it.
What sort of cost is that program?
Motionmetrix at the moment, I was talking to Frederick the other day. Right, price wise, you're looking at 7,750 euros for a single software module. So they do kind of running and then they do walking as well. Or you can get 8,950 if you want to get 2 modules, which just gives you the running clinical gait as well.
No,
but yeah,
like a one-off.
If it was just for running, yeah, one off. That doesn't include the treadmill or the cameras. That's just for the kit, the software. So
what's that in sterling? £7,000.
7,000. It's about the same these days, isn't it? I think as one.
Was it?
Yeah, I think
less.
more or less.
7,750
euros. I could do a quick check on.
It's probably about £7,000.
It's a bit less, isn't it, for pounds? Yeah, I think it's slightly over for euros. So yeah, about £7,000. You can get the cameras from them. The cameras will cost, again, because they're depth sensing cameras, you need 2 of them. They're 750 euros for the set, includes the tripod and everything. You're probably best getting it off them, to tell you the truth, because it's just easier, because then if something goes wrong or something, you can go back to them. So you are looking at an extra 750 for the cameras, which includes the tripods. The PC you can source yourself. It works out cheaper that way, rather than, they do supply these things, but you can just get your PC which is up to spec to do it. And you also need a treadmill with slim handrails on the side, and there are specs for Motionmetrix, like I mentioned before. You need to have 3.8 meters between the 2 depth sensing cameras, so that's the angle they need to capture the client. And you need to make sure that you've got either slim or no handrails on the side, because otherwise the depth sensing cameras picks them up and starts getting confused. It's quite amusing, actually, because you see the runner there and suddenly you've got a leg going, whoa, up there in the corner, like some kind of weird karate kick. It's because they think the treadmill is part of the runner. So you need to have that treadmill set up really well. I mean, I'm very biased. It's the one I took to Kenya and I set up with them in Nairobi, because it's just such a good looking bit of kit. I haven't used Run3D. I've seen Run3D. We're at One Chat Live. We used them as a demo outside the conference, and really nice bit of kit, really good customer care and stuff. So I can't speak personally about that, but for my personality and what I wanted to deliver, just taking out the marking was wonderful for me. I just thought that was so cool, and it's just so easy to retest. Put someone on, retest it, 30 seconds. What difference have we got? Boom, there's all the differences. That didn't quite work. I want to do this now. Or, it's just a really exciting hour where you put them on and take them off. I know I'm trying to sell Motionmetrix now, but
is that sort of thing, like the Motionmetrix, is that good for if you were just filming outside, or is it not?
They say
Is
they
it
do
the same
a
as the others?
portable version, but no, Motionmetrix would be for if
Ideally,
you're creating a lab. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
where you got a business where you're selling it's
Right.
the same as Run 3D. That's for where you are
Okay.
creating a name for yourself. I can't remember who said they wanted to be the go-to gate lab of Devon, but it's sort of Run
Me.
3 Run
What do you think I'm doing
3D.
on this course?
Yeah, a 3D system, costs more, but then you break it down. That's what I said at the beginning. If you're charging $350 a client and you're planning on getting maybe, I don't know, 3 clients a week or something, or even 2 clients a week, then suddenly you're already paying for that system in itself. If you can charge that sort of money and get them in. So in contrast to where you're going to be charging maybe, I don't know, 80, 90 quid to a lot of runners who are queuing up, and you've got a simpler, cheaper system. Both are still business models. It depends on where you are and who you think your audience are. So,
but the other thing with that, the thing that would hold me back on the Motionmetrix is that I would want to feel that I'm expert enough with runners. Higher level runners. You want to feel that you're expert enough in running. Not just...
no, that thing, you put that on your website. Like I say, I had people coming over from New York, from the Netherlands, because basically they looked at Motionmetrix and saw it and just thought, geez, that's amazing. I want to see all that. I want to see that. But in actual fact, when we had that brief time, I've got another 3 case studies, which I might share. I'll make a little video for you, but all the data that was on there, all it's doing is the stuff which we've looked at on the course. It's just putting it in such a way. It's looking at the overstride, it's looking at the angles, and there's far much more to it as well. It's got all the rotational stuff which we haven't gone into in this course, but that even though it looks quite complicated and detailed, all it's doing is taking the information which we've looked at this and putting it into a nice big diagrammatic form and just doing it really quickly, without any fuss. So, but you can still achieve all of this with on form and drawing it out. It just depends what your business model is going to be like. And Gaton, Gaton is a real middle. If you want to go one up from OnForm and create a lab, then Gaton is a beautiful system, and that's cheaper. It's much cheaper. You can get that for 10 years for whatever it was. Like, I have to get these all down and put them into the. What was it, like something like £1,200 for 10 years or something? I think for Gaton.
Yeah, you said something like that. Yeah, written down somewhere. £900 for a year, or £1,200 for 10 years, and that's a nice bit of kit as well. Still very professional report. So yeah, I'll be sharing in the Facebook. I've got something he sent me, an exclusive offer for Gaton if you're interested in going down that road, which might interest you as well. So I was impressed by that. As a 2D system, that that middle ground between being a bit more showy and until you feel you've got enough seen enough people, enough treadmills to really feel that you can take the next step. See, the numbers and the angles are only so good as a person looking at them. So you want to,
I went from 2D to 3D. So I used Contemplast, which was the equivalent of Gaton, for a good 4 or 5 years. Or 4 years before you went to the 3D one. So, and probably I wouldn't be surprised if in 4 or 5 years' time. I know Siddharth from Gaton was saying to me that they're experimenting with depth sensing cameras and stuff as well. So they might even have their own. There's a lot of business in these. There's a lot of returns for these companies to offer a 2D and then an upgrade to a 3D. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get involved in the 3D versions as well. They're already using AI from 3D in their 2D version, so it wouldn't be long. So, right then, what have we got? 12:27. Thanks for sticking with me. Did anyone have to go? We lost a few people. I think we have, haven't we? I'm still recording.
Yeah. I need to go imminently because I've got
an
interview in about 3 minutes.
Oh, for your massage therapist. How come that job is still going? I can't believe it hasn't been snapped up. It's crazy stuff.
Well, we've got someone, but now me and Anna are fighting over the same person. So he went to see Anna yesterday, and now he's coming up to see me in 3 minutes. I've told him it's overrunning, so I'll be with him in a minute.
Well, look, that's essentially everything I wanted to show you guys today. Stuff we haven't managed, I will put and drip into the Facebook group over the next week. If you've got any further questions, then obviously don't wait till next week. Stick them in Slide or even email me anything I can help you with, or put it into the Facebook group because there's probably someone else who wants it. I'm sorry it's been a bit rushed today, but this really has been a planning thing for me of how to fit stuff in. But I think all of the conversations we had at the beginning were very valuable anyway. I hope you've all taken something away from each other's experience. So there we go. On with your normal lives. I'm hanging around now. So if anyone's got any questions and wants to stay here, I'm quite happy to stay here for another 10, 20 minutes. Otherwise, be on your merry way. And we're going to see you, at James's, aren't we? Anything, James, you want to tell us about in preparation?
Can we park there?
James has got to go.
Yes. Yes, there's a car park literally next door, Mary Archer's car park, but that's quite expensive. It's quite expensive. We don't mind parking there all day. You can literally park. I mean, when I say next door, I mean literally it's connected. So next door. I can give. There is a car park that's cheaper. You can park all day, which is about like a 10-minute walk away. So I'll try and find that on
some
Google
directions.
Maps,
Yeah,
some directions on it. No, I just think anything else to ask on the Facebook group.
Wicked.
And then I suppose I'll ask you separately about anything you want set up, like where you want the treadmill, or whatever else you want clinic wise.
With on the books, it's 9:30, isn't it? So what time do you want people getting there, James? Like 9?
Not 9:10. Say that.
Yeah, 9:15 or something. Don't come too early because we'll probably be moving a treadmill around. And
well,
working out where the
actually,
best
there'll be a group exercise session going on from 8 to 9. So,
oh wow! And maybe come early and do that. Then it's true. If any of you want to bring you're all invited. Obviously, I'm just inviting you now to James's exercise group. Yeah, that'd be great.
It's only like 5 or 6 people at a time. Anyway.
Oh, wicked. No, that's cool.
Crowded.
Yeah, so 9:15, and that's quite important then. So make sure.
I don't know whether you want. Well, it doesn't matter. That they'll just mean that there'll be some sweaty people in there. It's fine. What was I going to say? Treadmill. Where do you want the treadmill in the clinic? Is it better if it's like smack bang in the middle of the clinic so everyone can walk around it?
That would be cool. Yeah. Because we want to practice filming it from different sides and the front and the back. So yeah, just imagine walking around it. Maybe
I just imagine because I would pull it out from where it normally is. So I can literally put it right in the middle of the clinic.
That'd be great. I think that
so
works.
There's lots of space all around. Right, I'll do that. Right.
That'd be cool. And you say you've got some tripods, and Anna Maria's got a tripod as well for people to mount iPads on.
Yeah, the only problem I've got with iPads, I've got 2, and both of them are too old. I don't have people had the same issue with the on-form, and I didn't want
people have to tell you the truth. Yeah. Well, I'll do a check in the Facebook and see who's got a modern iPad that works. So we get a numbers count. I know Anna Maria has, but yeah, we'll see. As long as we got like 4, then we should be okay, shouldn't we?
Yeah, I mean, it works quite well on I've got an up-to-date iPhone, and it's
iPhone.
fine.
Yeah. All we need is just for getting footage. That's all. I just want to make sure that I'd like to do a comparison of how filming from a slightly different angle can change the angles which you record. And I want to just do a couple of things for interreliability. So having you both in theory,
you can just connect the you just screen share the iPhone or iPad to the projector, so you can just do that.
Brilliant. Yeah, we'll find out. That'd be great. Okay, thanks, James. Any other questions from people around it? Yep. See you. I'm here for anybody else if you got questions.
No, I'll have to go. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, everybody.